Good afternoon. I'm Paul with Deployed from Detroit, the School of Leadership and Madness, and I'm coming to you tonight with a new project of mine. It is a guide to a Veterans Recovery 101. And essentially, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to take 30 minutes once a week, and I'm going to talk about my sobriety and give you all, anyone who wants to listen, or anyone who wants to get sober, I'm going to give you everything that I have, or everything that I've learned throughout my journey of sobriety. Even though I'm young in my sobriety, I think it's important to pass on everything that I have learned, because it has been an eye-opening experience, and I know a lot of people could benefit from it. I know in my time with Deployed from Detroit, most of my episodes have been intoxicated, and as I think about it now, that's kind of embarrassing that I haven't put out any true content where I was sober during that content, and I owe you guys better. A little bit about my story. I did have a rough childhood. And, I was raised rough, I should say. I won't blame everything on my parents. We didn't have money. My parents pretty much got everything taken away from them. Foreclosed homes, repoed vehicles, you name it. I mean, my parents basically did whatever they could to just scrounge up as much money as we could to actually survive. Um, my parents, my mom had a weight problem. She battled that for most of her adult life. The last 12 years of her life, she lived in a bed, which was extremely hard for me to go through. I won't take I won't take anything away from my brother and my sister because they went through a lot more having to live with her during that time. Um, but it was hard, nevertheless, to see my mom go through that. Unfortunately, she passed away last June, and that was pretty rough on me. I was in the room after 3 weeks of being next to her. I had to make the decision with my brother and my sister to go ahead and pull the plug on my mom. And it was an unfortunate thing that happened, and it was a sad thing, but it definitely took a lot out of me emotionally. My dad killed himself when I was 18. Um, I don't even want to go into the specifics of all that. He just, uh, he was a sick man, and had done some stuff that was coming back around to get him. So instead of facing the consequences, he just took his life. And having to deal with that at such a young age. I was just joining the Marine Corps, and I was about to head off to war. It was pretty rough to deal with. Um, Even before that, I dropped out of high school. Uh, I was failing because I was, concentrating on everything else except for my work and everything like that. But I dropped out because I wasn't going to graduate on time, and I started working full time, which wasn't the answer. But I didn't know what else to do, so I I made the decision to drop out, and I dropped out, and I did that for about 4 months. And at the same time, I got kicked out of my house, so I've been living on my own since I was 16. And when it came time for the recruiter to talk to me, which is what I wanted to do when I, eventually got to that point, they showed me the door because I didn't have my high school diploma. So I ended up having to go to like the worst school in Flint and figure it out. I had to jam pack a bunch of classes together and I had to test out of a few just so I could graduate on time so I could join. And then, I got out of boot camp and everything, and I joined as a reservist to come back and, be with my family and continue doing the things that I was doing before I left. So I came back thinking I was going to go do those things, and then I got notified that I was going to deploy almost right away. So here I am at 19 years old. My dad had just committed suicide, so I just buried him. And then I was off to Iraq. I went to Fallujah during '06, which was a pretty hairy time in Iraq. And it was a lot to take in for, someone so young. And I've had to grow up quick, but everything that I go through in my life, I wasn't prepared for. No matter how grown up I thought I was, I just wasn't prepared for it mentally. And I didn't realize that at the time. You just go through it. You just deal with what you're given, and you push through it because that's what we do, right? We push through it. So I came back and I was dealing with some issues in my head. It was mostly the paranoia. The constant not knowing what's going to happen that day. Am I going to lose a brother? Are we going to get into in an engagement? Am I going to get hurt? Am I going to die? Am I going to make it back home? And the problems from back home didn't stop. Still had people to worry about, and they had their little problems that they dealt with back home. We had to sit there and just think about those things while we were out there, and it wasn't really fair, but it is what it is. When I got back, I was messed up mentally. We don't talk about it because I was only 20 when I got back home. I turned 20 just shortly thereafter, and we just don't talk about it. We just continue doing, what we're doing. And I ended up just going active duty then because I tried to work a civilian job, and it didn't work out because I was insane. Not literally, but, I did have some definite screws loose up there. So I went off to do the active duty thing, and then I started having kids, and then I got married, and that's when the drinking really took off. As a young person in the service, pretty much just stretch yourself to, to the millionth degree because it's such a competition to be the best and to get promoted, and it feels like you're never doing enough to get noticed, so you just continue to do more and more and more, and you still have the stuff from home that you're dealing with, and you still have to go home, and you have to be a father, and you got to be a husband, and all these things, and the problems from back home don't go away. My mom was still going through her thing, and I was always worried about my brother and my sister. So you just deal with all these things, and I started drinking. As a result, I started drinking to get away from my problems. Every night you come home, you have one or two. That's how it started. The one or two drinks a night. And I usually did that just about every night after a certain point. But stuff started getting harder then. Money problems started to pop up. Stuff started to get rocky, in my marriage, and those few drinks turned into a lot more drinks. And then I started going out a lot, and then I started making stupid decisions when I was drinking, and that made everything a lot worse. So wife and kids ended up moving back home, and they left me, back in San Diego where I was stationed, and kind of took off. I really went loose after that point because, I felt like my world was kind of slipping away. And this drinking thing wasn't doing it anymore. The problems kept on stacking up no matter how much I drank. So, I didn't have another outlet, so I drank more. That's all I knew how to do is just, hey, like, figure it out and drink it down. Like, everything's gonna be all right. And I continued to do that for a couple of years, and it got pretty bad. I mean, I don't there was probably count on my hands the days I went sober out of the last like 5-6 years. But it got to a point where when my mom died, it was almost like whatever control I did have went away. It was like a landslide. My feet went right out from underneath me. And I was in a free fall. And drinking during that dark time was not a good idea. I mean, so that was last year, and I gotta tell you, it was like a warpath. I mean, the things that I said and did while drinking, astonishing. It's truly like, it's scary to think about. I was messed up. And I made a lot of mistakes. And I couldn't stop myself at that point. I got myself dug in, and I got addicted. I wasn't dependent on alcohol physically, but mentally I was. I needed alcohol. I thought about it every day. I had to get home. I had to get that drink. And we're not talking about making drinks. We're not talking about just having beers. We're talking about hard drinking. Like, not drinking for the taste anymore. We're talking about, like, pouring alcohol into a cup, liquor, and drinking the whole thing just to feel okay for a second. For a couple hours. I watched... It was almost like I watched my life fall apart in front of me, and I wasn't in control. I knew I was doing it, but I wasn't in control of it. It was just happening around me because I was sick, and I was making all these terrible decisions during the time. Memorial Day was rough. You take someone who's already hurting, and then you throw in Memorial Day, and stuff got a lot worse. And I don't think for 2 days straight that I was sober one time. Not even a minute. I was drunk the whole entire time. And I remember sitting on the floor here, and I was crying, hurt thinking about losing, the brothers that I had while we were over there, and people that we've lost since. And as I was there, I realized I was a hypocrite. And something in me just said, I'm done. Like, why am I doing this? What gives me the right to cry for somebody that I lost when I'm sitting here killing myself at the same time? It just didn't make any sense to me. 'Cause I gotta tell you, over the years, and I'm young. I am young, but my body does not feel young anymore. Drinking took a heavy toll on my body. It did. I mean, it blasted me. I thought some nights I wasn't going to make it through it. I honestly did. It was terrible on my body. But, I realized I was killing myself, given how bad my health was getting. And I knew then, right here on this floor, I had to do something. And I went and we had an episode about it. I checked myself in a detox, and I did something. I went and got help. And I gotta tell you, I've done substance abuse counseling for, 5 years in the service. I didn't understand anything about sobriety. I understood drinking problems. I got all that. But I didn't understand how to fix it. And as I was going through it, a lot of stuff has come my way to open my eyes about how ignorant I was. So, I mean, the last, 2.5 months, since then, I've learned a ton. And I decided I want to pass that on because, what is knowledge without passing it on to someone else? It's useless. And I've always, taken the time to make sure I ask the questions so I understand, so I could pass it on to other people. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not a professional by any means. I do know that the problem I had was real. And I do know that the solutions that they are giving me work. And I'm going to throw everything I can at you. Every resource I can, every single opportunity I can present to you and show you everything that it can do for you. I'm going to give that to you. You do not understand that substance abuse is not the answer. Whether it's pills, whether it's alcohol, hard drugs, whatever the case, it's not the answer. It's not. It feels like it's the answer because it's a temporary thing. It's a temporary relief from the problems that you're going through. But just as I've said about alcohol is the temporary solution to all your problems, and it is the beginning of all your new ones. It's not the answer. It's not, and I understand that, it feels like that's all we have sometimes. But give yourself some time. Give yourself some time and understand that, why am I drinking? What is driving me to drink? And am I dealing with those things properly? Because if you're honest with yourself and you really ask yourself, hey, am I dealing with my problems and I just, like to drink casually, or am I drinking because I don't want to deal with my problems and that's where I want to cope with them? That's an issue. You should be able to be honest with everyone in your life about what you need, about, things that are going to help you. There is a way to deal with all your problems, even though you may not see it right now. And there is help out there. So, if you're having an issue, don't wait. Don't wait until it gets too bad and then you can't go back. Because people die from this every day. This is something, we don't get another shot at this. I've learned a ton in the past couple months. And one thing my sponsor told me was, life can be pretty great once you get out of the way. And what he meant by that is by saying, hey, when you stop trying to have control of everything in your life Stop trying to control every situation that you have in your life. Understand you're not in control of things that happen and everything like that. And you'd be surprised how much relief you're taking off your shoulders just by doing that. And life can be pretty great if you get out of the way of yourself. Because when you try to control things in a wrong way, or when you try to control things for the wrong reason, and then you try to deal with them in the wrong way, you get yourself into a point where you're not going to fix any problems. Because not only are you trying to get rid of problems by, drinking, you're trying to temporarily, resolve those issues, at least numb them in your head. And you're creating a whole bunch of other ones when you get drunk, or when you get high, or whatever the case is. You don't understand that you're causing more problems, and that's what your addiction wants. It wants you to get sucked into that vortex where you can't come back anymore. You can't. It wants you to be alone. It doesn't want you to get therapy. It doesn't want you to get treatment. It wants you to have all the problems. Cunning, baffling, powerful. That's what they say. That's what this disease is. Addiction. Cunning, baffling, powerful. It'll wait until you're really high or really low. And that's the times that it's going to take you. If you're doing good, hey, let's celebrate. You did a good job. Let's celebrate. Let's get that. Let's get that drink. Let's get that drink. I deserve it, right? And then when you're really low, have a drink. Have a drink. Make yourself feel better. It does not want you to succeed. And it never wants you to get better. It wants you to get worse. It wants your health to get worse. It wants your, relationships to fail. And I gotta tell you, folks, I've ruined just about every friendship that I have. Just about every friendship that I have. In the last year, my drinking got so out of control, I literally almost lost every single relationship that I had. And people continue to still walk out of my life today. The scars that addiction leaves it's vast. And there are many of them. It really does take a toll on the folks around you. And you don't realize it because you're selfish, and that's part of your addiction, is you're going to be selfish about it, and you're not going to care because you want that drink. No, like I said, it's not the answer. But good news is, if you want help, I'm here to walk through it with you. I mean, that's what I'm here to do. I'm going to give you 30 minutes, anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes every week. And I'm going to go over a bunch of different things. And I'm going to try to give you resources, tools, things that I've learned, and tell you about my recovery, because maybe that'll help you in yours. But I will do that for you. All I ask is that if you do want help, you don't have to tell me. I just ask you to do an honest assessment of yourself. If you do want help, then, you cannot do it alone. I know that. So please go and get help. Go and get help, because sobriety is a team sport. And I'm learning that. I'm meeting a lot of people, and they're great people. Great people, and there's, so many success stories about what happens when people get sober. And it's amazing. And I want, anyone who is struggling with this to find that out. So you can, you can have it too. So, like I said, I'm here if you need me. You can get a hold of me by email, so it's paul@deployedfromdetroit.com. You can hit us up on our Facebook, Deployed from Detroit. I will get more savvy with this. I'm not too big into this kind of stuff yet, but I will get better at it. And the next one I will post, my contact information and everything like that. But I'll try to put as much as I can in the description of the video, so you guys can have that to reach out to me with. But I'm here for you, and I will see you next week. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a good week. All right, I'm out here.